TV9's website has a story about the new Gans Middle Valley School approved by the county commission. The bill, the debt, the obligation that's being entailed by the production of that capital investment is $29 million. And if it holds 800 students, that building, each little piece of floor there where a child sits in his desk costs $36,250. An investment in the future, to be sure, an investment in the future of the continuing story of reliant people who can't do things for themselves and who need to have the state and the state's friends in county government to build further locations where students can be massed and managed by the Department of Education and all the parties behind it, right? All the characters, foundations, think tanks, and advertisers and corporations and industrialists behind any given Department of Education, who are there in spirit, if not in by means of checkbook. Well, this is David Toulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com. There's value in locations in places that you can't see. And there's, for example, there's more value than you realize in the prayer breakfast that was held. Let's see, it was held yesterday. Well, it says it was held this morning in downtown Chattanooga. Governor Haslam attended the leadership prayer breakfast. About 1,800 people or so appeared. 1,600 people, according to Kevin Hardy's story in the Chattanooga Times-Free Press on page B4 at the bottom. I might have put it a little higher than 6 columns at the bottom, but it is a bold headline, probably about 36 point. And Governor Haslam is shown in columns 2 and 3, making a gesture as he gives his presentation. He's quoted on the website of TV9 as saying that one of the encouraging things about governor, I guess about being governor, people come up to me all the time and say, "I'm praying for you," and I laugh and say that some of them are praying. I find another line of work, but most of them mean that genuinely. And when you see people committed to praying for their leaders of all types, local, state, and federal, and I think it says something about the people of this community. I know it's intended to capture his quote exactly, but there's just something not accurate about the way that's presented that doesn't quite cohere, even though there is it has the colloquial manner of speech that Americans use. The speaker at the event was a man named Brigance Sorber, who is the chief executive officer of the very, very large moving company that has a very small name, and that name is Two Men in a Truck. The story has a quote from the website of the organization that puts on the prayer breakfast. And it says that the event is designed to encourage morality and ethics in the lives of all people in position of leadership in business, in government, and in the professions. It's been a couple of years, I think, since I attended a prayer breakfast. I sat next to Eric Pelton and his wife and some other very fine people. I think maybe a couple from the Union Gospel Mission may have been either at my table or elsewhere. It would have gone perhaps if I had just thought to sign up, and maybe next year you, my listener, and I can attend the prayer breakfast together. Just email me if you can remember to do so. But the idea of leadership, though, is something that I have a question. I question the idea among Americans of what leadership is. It seems to me that leadership is not really leadership anymore. There's a kind of a compromised version that floats about, and leadership is in many ways not challenging the way things are, not challenging people's unspoken assumptions about their obligations, say to government, or their obligations to the market. And leadership often is in this direction. Well, we've got to follow all the rules exactly as written. And I'm going to be a leader in submission, right? I'm going to be a leader in following every expectation of every person who apparently matters. These are sometimes people in government, and we will not challenge any convention. We will not defy any seeming order or directive from on high, and we won't say anything or support any any effort to rattle the status quo or even status quo of our day among people who, many of them are in business, right? Many of them are entrepreneurs, and as they grow in their businesses, their perspective suddenly shifts. Well, not I wouldn't say suddenly, but slowly it shifts. It shifts from entrepreneurship and service and a kind of defiance against the machine, right? As small businesses often are. And as they become acculturated to to the establishment, to government, start knowing all the officials, the mayor, the county commissioners, the city council members, the man who runs the regional planning commission. You've met him at a prayer breakfast, and eventually you can't make any movements to offend anybody, right? And that's what happens. That's what people finally accused Lee Anderson, the great conservative editorialist at the Chattanooga Times-Free Press, of being a man who could attack socialism afar, who could attack statism from afar, who could lugubriously articulate the arguments against subsidies afar, but he couldn't do it here. He couldn't write about people he knew as being on the dole, right? He didn't want to offend anybody he knew so well, and that is just a problem of human relationships, or you could say the advantage of human relationships. If you're on the receiving end, and the editor of the newspaper, and you happen to be in the line of fire, right? You're getting a pilot, for example, and you've not met your clawback provisions in hiring enough people. You just have a nice chat with the editor, right? And he's not gonna say anything against you directly. He'll maybe insinuate that there's something not right about your getting a special favor from county government, but he won't rebuke you publicly. He won't call you names, and he will limit his fulminations against you to become mild hand slaps. And so leadership is something that when I think about it, it just kind of bothers me. And one reason is that leadership is always called that. It's always called leadership. A city council member is not a leader. All right, he's not a leader. He's a representative. There's a different idea if you think of it in that way. The idea of a representative is that he's a servant. He reflects the interests of his people. He's making sure that the people are not damaged by the use of force, by the use of laws, and that they are generally advantaged, right? His goal is to serve the general body of his district. But when he's turned into a leader by the press and by people, by favor seekers, right? Well, then he becomes something different. He becomes independent, and he starts not being representative anymore. And I think leaders are. I really think we should avoid the word entirely, because it implies that if there's a leader, there's a follower. And since when are the people the followers of their elected officials? When did that happen? And of course, you can probably identify instances here in Hamilton County where that's happened in the past 60 years. But I'd like to think that you, my listener, haven't quite been bitten by that virus, and you would rather not be a follower. You'd rather be an independent man, right? You are my listener here at Nooganomics.com, and you are the independent man. You think for yourself, and you appreciate as I do, the Minority Report. The Minority Report is what we offer here at Nooganomics.com. We are a pro-government radio station, and I must say that I'm the editor of probably the most pro-government website in Chattanooga, and that is Nooganomics.com. In fact, we're liberals. We are probably the biggest liberal that we have here is Russell, the kid who runs Digital Drive, and he is I think he describes himself as a kind of an anarcho-capitalist with a Christian flavor. and we are, if he's an anarcho-capitalist, he is very much for government. But of course, we have to ask the question now, well, what government are you talking about? We're talking really about self-government. And when we look at the aggregate of all people, you and all the other people whom you see today, whom you will interact with, or whom you pass on the highway, or in the corridor of the bank building as you're going into the conference center, well, that is the marketplace, right? These are people who are governing themselves, and that's really what our government needs to be about. Our government here at Hot News Talk Radio is really self-government. Self-government first, and then finally, at the very end of the bottom of the page, if we can get it on squeeze it on there in small letters, federal government, right? That one we can it's below the last line of type, the last line of blue line that we're writing on, put down federal government. That's the most remote government really the most disastrous form of government. It is where anarchy resides today, anarchy and lawlessness in that grand empire, that grand power. Well, listen, we are Hot News Talk Radio, and I wanted to mention to you that we are thinking about a stimulus package to local economy, a stimulating idea, and that is in the direction of a half off now feature. A half off now, you might say a gimmick. Okay, here's the gimmick. We are going to make available for you, my listener, at hotnewstalkradio.com at the half off link, all kinds of things at half price. Now, these are things we've gotten, and we are kind of the middlemen, the steward of these bits of physical property, and some is abstract property, but mostly physical property. And we would like you to take a look at those things and buy them. And we have bought them with the most powerful currency that we are aware of, and that's the airwave from our radio station, the beam toward wealth. It beams out from our tower in Saudi Daisy and makes people rich, right? Makes people rich in ideas, in prospect, in their thinking. And using that, we are going to make things available. So go to hotnewstalkradio.com and click on the half off link for great deals. And we are here to save you money. We want there to be more money in local economy spent on good things among people in local economy. And if you're saving money, well, then you are saving it for other local purchases with your family and with your business. My name is David Toulis, and our show is Newgonomics.com. We have the wonderful and whimsical idea, a very weak one, by the way, that we love our neighbor and buy local. We are not friends of national economy. Actually, we're kind of critical of national economy. We are kind of critical of national economy. Well, we're also members of Trade Bank. I want to mention Trade Bank to you as a great outlet for cash savings. If you're a small business person, be a member of Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Improve your cash flow, trading among businesses in every field, 400 of them. You can learn more by calling Jürgen Mutz, the German with the southern twang. Jürgen Mutz at 877-2202, 877-2202. And there's a special today at Delia's. I want you to make sure that you stop by Delia's. No, don't, let me back up. Don't stop by Delia's. I want you to go out of your way. Okay, go out of your way to Delia's, authentic Mexican food, and let her know that you are my listener here at Hot News Talk Radio. Just mention the radio station. You'll get a free iced tea, sweetened or un. And the special is the taco salad. It's $6.25, $1 off. You get the chicken or beef variety of that. Delia's authentic Mexican food in Saudi Daisy, South Saudi Daisy, near the Thrasher Light on Dayton Pike. The freshest ingredients cooked to perfection. Just call ahead if you like, 521-7145. Call today and reserve some tacos or the special, 521-7145. Now, another place where there's value that's been that's not properly perceived is in the home garden. And I mention this because there's a writer in Australia who tallied up for Charles Hugh Smith the value of his garden. And there is a cash value in gardening, a return on investment, if you will, and it can be $1,000 a year, or as Charles Hugh Smith estimates on his website of twominds.com. That's of twominds.com website. Very important, forward-thinking writer. $30 an hour. And his correspondent in Australia says, I feel the $33 per hour of time invested is a return worth pursuing for anyone in a low to medium income threshold. Beats $9 an hour being offered by Walmart. The profit for the year is this writer calculates it, measuring his output of asparagus, tomatoes, coriander, parsley, okra, lemongrass. The biggest one was coriander. He earned a total value of $108. Watermelon and peas, the total value was, let's see, the profit per square meter was $11.66. The profit per hour was $33.30. Over the year, in this man's small space, the profit was $932. And there's a quote from from a writer who, well, not a writer, but a scientist who devised a hydroponic system of watering plants. So if you, my listener, are a dweller in an apartment, you can use the B.A. Kratky method, which is developed by this University of Hawaii professor, which allows everyone interested in sustainability or taking control of at least some of their own food production. And so that the money value of a small garden could be as much as $1,000 a year. And Smith, the very fine free market economist, writer, and advocate for decentralization, says that it could be really double that amount. Well, I want to mention I've been reading a great little essay that came out from a writer named Carlton Hayes back in 1926. Nationalism is Religion, and it came to my attention as the day earlier this week of the parade downtown, or was it maybe late last week? The parade downtown, the military parade, where we have the normal hoopla, the normal kind of high-minded discussion about those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. And this writer who writes a column that's picked up at a website called panarchy.org, some kind of libertarian website. He says that nationalism has its parades, processions, and pilgrimages. It has, moreover, distinctive holy days, just as the Christian church took over some festivals from paganism. So the national state has borrowed freely from Christianity. And he mentions that the 4th of July is a kind of nationalist Christmas, Flag Day, which we don't honor really anymore, substituted for Corpus Christi, again, Catholic holy day, and Decoration Day for the commemoration of all souls faithful departed, whilst in place of the saints' days of the Christian calendar appear the birthdays of national saints and heroes, such as Washington and Lincoln. Nationalism has its temples, and he mentions Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Faneuil Hall in Boston, the Shrine of General Lee in Lexington, and Grant in New York, and of course the White House in Washington. Every national state has a theology, a more or less systematized body of official doctrines, which have been deducted from the precepts of the fathers and from the admonitions of the national scriptures, and which reflect the genius of the people. And he says, constitute a guide for national behavior. In America, the canon of national holy scripture certainly includes the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, Washington's farewell address, the Monroe Doctrine, and Lincoln's addresses. But here, as elsewhere, the canon is not yet definitive. And this is the part at which I had to laugh. There is even now an intense rivalry between two theological schools, that which supports the authenticity of the gospel according to Theodore Roosevelt, and that which attributes inspiration to the epistles of Woodrow Wilson. Clearly a bit dated, but he says nationalism easily survives as other religions have survived, and even profit from some little discrepancies and minor contradictions in Holy Writ. And what he's getting at, in writers of this kind are getting at, Carlton Hayes, is this religious idea of the state, the modern nation state, whose value, of course, is greater than that of God, greater than that of the gospel. Its presence, it cannot be denied, it cannot be questioned, and it's a presence which defies the good sense of common people, who, on one hand, can talk about, well, we need to protect the family, we need to protect marriage, and taxes are too high, we need to have more small businesses, and we're upset that at internationalism and globalism. And who then, you think that there are Tea Party people who are whose minds are being strengthened by maybe Christianity, or maybe reading of Gary North or von Mises, and who are doing more than just having a political opinion. And then suddenly we hear them say, well, we have to have a strong national defense, and suddenly all the good things about that would, you might say, are local economy arguments, things about this town here in Chattanooga and Hamilton County, the things that they treasure here, suddenly are laid aside very conveniently, and we need to have a strong national defense. And then once that argument starts up, there's no stopping it. There's no way that you can forswear the use of of the transcribable surveillance that's now been written up on Outlook, the Intercept website, the investigative journalism website. There's no way you can forswear warrantless cell phone tracking, such as that which led to a conviction of Cortavius Davis, a bank robber. There's a story in the Chattanooga Times Free Press today. You might want to make a point of reading back on B5. It's warrantless cell phone tracking, not illegal search, says a court of appeals. And this is David Toulis. Our show is Newgonomics.com. We're bewildered by a lot of things going on out there, but we do have some bedrock truths that we argue for and describe here at Newgonomics.com, the show that covers local economy and the free market. I do thank you for giving me a couple of minutes of your time. Now, I've got something I want you to hear. Hang on.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
If you have the DT, the shakes, because your phone is on the fritz, you have nomophobia. You need help. Your telecom doctor is in. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall. Cell Surgeon yanks open the ribcage of your phone, pries out the dead heart, and puts in the beating life that you lead on your cell phone. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out? Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life. We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection, loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. You do not have to be living with constant pain. You need to make the choice today to enjoy a revitalized body. You deserve to live a better pain-free life. And Dr. Ross can help. At Ross Chiropractic, failure is not an option. For over 40 years, Dr. Ross, a graduate of the prestigious Palmer College of Chiropractic, prided himself in helping and healing. The Ross method of chiropractic care is unique in developing a treatment designed just for you. And Ross Chiropractic makes this promise to you. If he believes that he can't help relieve your pain, he will guide you to another health practitioner to assist you. Feel better now. You owe it to yourself. You really do. Call Dr. Ross now at 954-9591. That's 954-9591. And visit Dr. Ross at 7405 Shallowford Road, Suite 320. Ross Chiropractic, helping your body heal itself. Because when your spine's in line, you will feel fine. Call 954-9591. That's 954-9591 for Ross Chiropractic.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducts. Call now.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan has lifted the state of emergency in Baltimore. This after Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake called for a federal probe of the city's police force.
I am asking that they investigate what systemic changes challenges exist within our police department that can contribute to excessive force.
Baltimore had several days of protest over the death of a black man while in police custody. With a severe drought in California, the state's cracking down on water use.
Mandatory cutbacks range from as little as 8% in San Francisco to as much as 36% in parts of Orange County, where families use more than 500 gallons a day.
Fox's William LaJeunesse. Former Speaker of the House Jim Wright has died at 92. Wright, a Texas Democrat, spent 34 years in Congress before resigning in 1989 during an ethics investigation. Fox News, we report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
Two major stories in the New York Times are giving indication that the prospect of policing is facing an eventual demise. The stories don't actually say that, of course, and they don't go very far in that direction. But my thinking is, as I have been inspired by Uber, by Airbnb, by various apps on the internet that are allowing people to decentralize and to bypass cartels, to bypass the middleman, to bypass even the skimming economy that we have today. As I think in that direction, I read these stories in the New York Times, one that came out on the 4th and the other on the 5th, about policing. And my thinking is that policing, because of technological advancements, and I think perhaps because of growing revulsion against police departments, as an idea, with the development of technology and the exercise of various liberties by men in this state and maybe in yours, there is going to be growing pressure to substitute police departments with an unofficial constabulary, and that I think will be much more effective and will reduce costs to the people. Now, damage to the people, to the public, is always in terms of an individual. He's lost his face, he's got his eye banged up, his spine is severed. He's been shot. He's been very badly wounded by a bullet. He's been hit by a rushing police car. He's been slain, right? And his family has only his estate and his memory, and a lawsuit planned. We have police departments that have served the purpose of the modern nation state, and that concept, that idea, even is under growing pressure from the market and from what we could call a geopolitical trend toward decentralization. And that's really enabled by the internet. The internet is making that possible in many respects, and is making it clearer as a prospect, as a prospect that affects countries, that affects places and peoples and their organizations, right? Their states and their nations. I wanted to let you know that there's a show coming Saturday at noon that we're going to be putting on that's about our half off website. The website is the page is on hotnewstalkradio.com, and if you go there Saturday at noon, you can hear about some of the things that we're making available to the retail market, things that we have obtained, and we're putting them out there for half price. So whatever we obtain is there for half price, and it will be a wide variety, an eclectic variety of things, I should say, that will, over time, we hope, expand to keep more money in the local economy and actually be part of the environmental movement, because it could be, in some respects, deemed recycling. We are recycling things, and some are new, some are not, and we're passing them along. Make sure you tune in, or have one of yours tune in. And Hot News Talk Radio, David Toulis.
I'm excited for that show on Saturday.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
I'm going to take exception with a couple of things, maybe just challenge your notion of decentralization, that I think there's more centralization. And since 1962, the federal government has been trying to take over the local police departments and eliminate them. That void, that vacuum will be replaced by something, and it'll be Homeland Security as they're taking over the state institutions. If you look at these state institutions, even the sheriff's departments, Homeland Security is attempting to take over that. You eliminate the local police, under the current conditions, and the federal thugs will take over. And I'll listen on the radio.
Well, we have a party listening to our station and waiting to join our show on Saturday. And the whole idea of police power and what is the source of it? Well, if you read Tennessee Jurisprudence, which is a Tennessee encyclopedia, in fact, I just pulled a section of that volume that I had photocopied from a very large stack next to my desk. I have several stacks. One is my legal stack, right? And I've got a couple of feet of, well, maybe just a foot of cases and encyclopedic works that I don't have in hardbound volume on police power. The police power comes from the General Assembly, and it's delegated to municipal corporations such as counties and cities, and that the power comes from the legislature. The legislature is not going to yield that power, even though there are covenants, agreements, even contracts among particular departments and the national government. And those are, I would say that if there's a challenge to those arrangements, that they will probably have to be made in court by someone who has standing to say this is an illicit arrangement. And I think in Tennessee, there's a great deal of movement against favoring connection with the federal government, though there are routine operations. The most recent one you can read about at Nuganomics.com, which was the Secret Service involved in a roundup of hundreds of people across Tennessee and other states, wanted fugitives, and that is again a federal intervention in local districts, in counties and cities, by cooperation. And so there is a routine of this sort of intervention in the world of policing, and I think that so the question is am I right in making the assertion that decentralization will bring more liberty and more freedom and end to the police state? And the answer is, I think, yes, long term it is. But in the meantime, however, as that happens, because those developments will come from public disaffection with the national government and monetary and financial disaster. Those are in the making. We face a national calamity that's financial in nature. And it'll be so bad that if we dream hard enough, we might even think of the power going off in those Utah data centers, right? That's kind of the ultimate win for the commoner like you or like me. But in the meantime, there will be an increasing centralization, increasing surveillance, and though crime is half of what it was at the time when the first SWAT agency was devised in Los Angeles in the 1970s, the idea that we have this seemingly constant abuse by police officers is increasing the pressure against the police lobby. Now, who are the people who lobby for police powers? Well, it's the Fraternal Order of Police, among other. There are associations of sheriffs, associations of police departments, with very, very powerful presences in Washington. And guess to whom they appeal? They appeal to the conservative voter and to Republicans. Republicans are the party largely to blame for the police state. I think we could blame Democrats for the weepy welfare state, right? The welfare state with pity for all. And that's kind of at the behest of Democrats. But the Democrats have just part of the charge of the welfare state, and the Republicans are part two in our national duopoly, as the Wall Street Journal called them recently in a page one story. They are both responsible for our national disaster. We have a national disaster afoot. We're living through it now. Okay, when people look back at 20 years from now, looking back to this year, they'll say, well, at that time people were thinking so and so, but things happened just around the corner that they didn't really see coming, and now we know why. That they should have seen it, but they didn't see the signals. Well, of course, I'm pretending to have hindsight that I don't have, but I think we face a good prospect of decentralization and increasing denationalization, which means, again, hostility toward the nation state, actual resistance to the nation state, defiance of surveillance, defiance of taxation, and people who have had enough and who are willing to be what legally is called a belligerent claimant in person, and that is to say, you stand on your rights that you have, so God help you, right? You stand on your rights. Well, this is David Toulis. Our show is Nuganomics.com, and we're at 12:40 a.m. in Chattanooga, Hot News Talk Radio, and our thinking is that that far is a good thing for the good people. We want them to be far away, and near is better than far, and that small is better than big. Simple is better than complex. And I've also concluded in the footnotes, I like doing heavy work in the footnotes, that personal is better than corporate and physical is better than abstract. I want to mention that Bruce Krebs is the man to help you get into a small business. If you, my listener, the guy listener of Hot News Talk Radio, want to have your own enterprise but don't have an idea for what to do, contact Bruce Krebs. Call him today. He's a very well-known entrepreneur leader in Chattanooga, a consultant, and he's been on my show before several times. And he runs Entrepreneur Source, and I have him here, and I want to make mention of him because he is a go-to guy in my perspective. So if you think that I have something valuable to say about your future and your calling and your duty to be prosperous, well, I offer him as a way to get to the solution. Bruce Krebs, 875-5621. That's 875-5621. Well, the New York Times articles talk about the long tradition of using force, and the story points out that there's been an axiom in policing, and that is how to use force. The axiom has not been how to avoid it, right? That's not been the thing in view. It's how to use it properly. So there's a kind of presupposition for violence. A quote from the police chief of Oakland. He says, "In a democratic society, people have a say in how they are policed." Do you know that you have a right to be policed? And people are saying that they're not satisfied with how things are going. Another person quoted Chuck Wexler, who's the executive director of the Police Executive Research Forum, our law enforcement group, says, "People aren't buying our brand." If it was a product, you should say, if it were a product. If it were a product, I'll correct it. We'd take it out of marketplace and re-engineer it. We've lost confidence. We've lost the confidence of the American people. And the story talks about kind of a truism in policing, and that's the 21-foot rule. And it was devised to allow you to kill someone if that person is coming toward you rapidly, and within 21 feet, you have time to draw your gun, put the safety off, and kill him. It takes that much time. If he's 21 feet, if he's closer than 21 feet, you've already lost control of the situation. If he's 21 feet away from you, you can then do it. And that rule gives police officers, the story says, a very confrontational posture. There's a reference to Cleveland. Officers pull their cars right up to a man, and the story says, increasing immediately the possibility of a confrontation. In Ferguson, Darren Wilson got out of his car after the tussle and pursued Mr. Brown alone. In Seattle, internal investigators chastised the officer Ian Burke for approaching the armed man and then using the 21-foot rule to justify shooting him. Officer Burke created the situation which he claims he had to use deadly force to get out of. A police review board concluded, and Officer Burke, Ian Burke, resigned. The other story talks about how the police have in around the country, and even here in Chattanooga under Chief Fred Flesher, they have a privileged position. Crime started going down in the 1990s, and the police unions, which are their lobbies, which have packed the Tennessee Code annotated. I'm holding here in my formerly newsprint ink stained fingers, volume 7 of the Tennessee Code, including titles 38 and 39. In this volume is what is effectively the police, the law enforcement officers' Bill of Rights. It's called a LEOBOR for short. And the LEOBOR is something that police unions, such as the Fraternal Order of Police, local and state and even national, have gotten written into the law. And there are remarkable provisions in the statute. In St. Louis, the story from the New York Times says St. Louis offers a particularly vivid example of the inability of police unions to update their tactics amid widespread frustration with policing. The St. Louis Board of Aldermen passed a measure creating a civilian oversight board back in 2006, but the mayor, a Democrat, vetoed it as having anti-police inflammatory language. But in December, after months of outrage following the shooting, death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Mr. Slay, who is the Mayor Francis Slay, agreed to support a bill similar to the one he vetoed a decade ago. A spokesman for the mayor said that local control of the police department now made the bill legally defensible. Unions, the cartels that support the police profession are pragmatic. And there's a quote in the story that says, people have the impression when it comes to police unions that there's never an unwarranted case of police abuse. This is quoting Robert Bruno, a professor of labor relations at the University of Illinois. The public would be surprised by the level of rational behavior on the part of union grievance officers. Well, local economy is what we are about here at Hot News Talk Radio, and our show is Nuganomics.com. My name is David Toulis. That's David Toulis. I'm the mild-mannered editor, very mild-mannered editor of Nuganomics.com, the website that covers local economy and the free market. And my argument today is there's a very interesting essay that you need to give attention to. It's about the upturned pyramid. It's about the inverted pyramid, which is there's a police structure in this pyramid. It's the police regulatory apparatus touching the use of the public road. And what is that inverted pyramid balanced on? It's balanced on a tip. And the tip is consent. Consent is how this whole structure on one vital part of police regulation of travel, how it stands. If that consent is reduced or eliminated, well, then we have a problem. And I have the glimmer in my mind that there's going to be a challenge to this pyramid, because one of the little integers in that point has said, I'm not part of the point. I'm not in the point. I'm not supporting the pyramid. And neither are our local immigrants. Neither are Mexicans, Guatemalans, Hondurans, people who are here. They fled terror. They fled poverty, and they came to what they think is a free country. They think it's a free country. And now they're being told by police officers, hey, you've got to go and get a driver's license, and we are going to arrest you. We're going to seize your vehicle because you're not properly licensed. And what they're doing, what these Hispanics are doing, is exercising a right that they probably don't realize that they have, but which I, your host, David Toulis, who has read the law very slightly, I'm thinking that that they have a right, and they need to have someone to defend that right. Maybe Jerry Summers could take on a case and make a name for himself, overturning what is an administrative system based on consent, but which pretends that there is no choice. It pretends that there is compulsion. And I would say that by the rules of statutory construction, which is to say the way you read a law, pretty simple, that you don't have to have a master's degree as I do to understand that it really can't be understood to be compulsory. It's just not written that way. And so we're going to have an argument of words, I think, at some point. Well, the cop culture, as the New York Times is pointing out, the cop culture is very high-minded and is becoming increasingly brutalized against local economy. Remember now that when we have police brutality, what we have is loss of safety, loss of respect, loss of confidence. The marketplace relies on confidence of the people. If the people are cowed, living in fear of harassment, living in fear of having their liberties punctured by the blue uniform or by a taser round, or their vehicles waylaid as they are innocently using the public road as licensees, perhaps, then what we have is a reduced prospect for capital. Capital always is greater when there's more confidence, and part of capital is not tangible, okay? And the part of capital that's not tangible is what we're addressing here with this review of police harassment of motorists and other people. Unfortunately, if you can be kicked, punched, or tasered, or shot, intimidated, harassed, if you can be stripped, if you can be searched or brutalized or terrorized or wrongfully arrested or even killed by a police officer, and that officer is never held accountable personally for violating your rights and his oath of office to serve and protect, and he's never forced to make amends and never told that what he did was wrong. if he's never told that what he did was wrong, and he's not made to change his mode of operandi, then you don't live in a constitutional republic. Says the constitutional lawyer John Whitehead, you live in a police state. Now, do we live in a police state or not? Now, in my mind, I think we could. I think it's very possible that we could be living in a police state, but it is only true that we do insofar as the members of the public, and you, my listener, perhaps the most important member of the public today, so long as you are not willing to defend your rights, even if it takes some inconvenience, because people who don't have rights and defend them don't have them. That's a very simple discussion from an important opinion that we've had occasion to mention. If you don't understand your rights to defend them, you don't have them. And if you don't have them, well, then rightly so, you live in fear. You live in apprehension of tomorrow. And that's a loss of capital. Okay, that is a loss in the marketplace if the people are fearful. What can make the people confident? Well, let me say there are several things, and perhaps the main one I would suggest is Christianity. If you believe in God, who's a sovereign, a God who saves people by an act of grace, right? Every person God saves is by his sovereign decree and his sovereign will. And he is capable of saving any whom he will choose. And of course, he's free to not choose anybody he doesn't want to, right? If that's the God who's there and you believe in him, you have a source of confidence that is valuable. It's valuable because it lets you defy lower authorities. It lets you defy governments. It lets you defy terrorists. It lets you defy harassment by police. It lets you defy administrators in your college who are telling your son that no, he can't issue flyers without getting a permit. All those kinds of things, right? If you're a confident man, it could be because you have God's love for you, and you know that God hates slavery. He hates slavery to sin, and he hates slavery among men. And the march of Christianity through the centuries is all about reducing slavery. It is a long process, and it won't be eradicated probably until the very end. And even then, there will still be instances of slavery, since the fall will continue having its effects among mankind. Well, in a cop culture, John Whitehead says the Bill of Rights doesn't amount to much. And he talks about LEOBORs, which is to say the Law Enforcement Officer Bill of Rights. And we have one in Tennessee. It's entitled Title 38. And I have it here. I just looked it up this morning. And one little point. If an officer is involved in some way in a scrap with an innocent member of the public, just one detail, okay? I've got to look at this in more, give it some more time. But he has an opportunity within a reasonable time limit after the date of the written notice provided for above to respond orally and in writing to the charges. He had, in other words, there's some. I think it says that he has the time limit shall be determined by the agency, but in no event shall it be less than 5 calendar days unless agreed to by the police officer. And I believe that that's the provision discussed in the news in the past couple of days, that officers can avoid talking to any interrogator for 5 days or longer. In other words, they don't have to make any statements. They don't have to say anything. They don't have to justify themselves. They don't have to do anything or say anything or write anything or admit anything without a lawyer. And they have to be scrupulously respected in interrogation. There's a writer named Eli Hager, and he's writing about these Bill of Rights in state statutes all around the country, including Tennessee. And the rights include, among officers accused of wrongdoing, are, for example, if a department decides to pursue a complaint against an officer, the department must notify the officer and the union. He must be notified of the complainants and their testimony against him before he's questioned. During questioning, investigators may not harass, threaten, or promise rewards to an officer, as interrogators not infrequently do to civilian suspects. Bathroom breaks are assured during the officer's questioning. In some jurisdictions, the officer may not be disciplined if more than a certain number of days, often 100, have passed since his alleged misconduct, which limits the time for investigation. So you see, there are all kinds of special things of the people in blue, the privileged class in blue, a special caste of Americans in blue, the aristocracy in blue. I'm David Toulis, and I'm a common man. I wear a bow tie, a little frazzled most days, and I'm here for you, my listener. We're going to talk about the Bob Association. It's a fascinating proposal to help the small businessman get a leg up in all of his buying. David Toulis.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. Coverage continues Sunday here at Live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
NASCAR being brought to you by River City Auto Exchange, 5503 Highway 153 in Hickson.
Check it out this Sunday live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Hot News Talk 1240.
When my brother and I opened our first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300 plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets.
If you have the DTs, the shakes, because your phone is on the fritz, you have nomophobia. You need help. Your telecom doctor is in. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall. Cell Surgeon yanks open the ribcage of your phone, pries out the dead heart, and puts in the beating life that you lead on your cell phone. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out? Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall next Old Chicago Pizza. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life.
Pure, honest, fair, and respect. Just some words that come to mind when you think about how you want to be treated. And that's how you're treated at Rivermont Pure. Rivermont Pure in Rivermont, Chattanooga. Serving your vehicle needs for over 30 years.
Now that's a long time.
Owner-operators Charlie and Tommy always put your needs first. Yeah, go ahead. Get an estimate from one of those big guy impersonal car repair chains.
No way.
Then bring it to Tommy and Charlie at Rivermont Pure. Chances are they'll beat their price and get your vehicle back on the road faster than you can say.
Our customers come first. Hi, this is Charlie.
And I'm Tommy, owners of Rivermont Pure. We're here to serve you.
Rivermont Pure, the auto repair guys. Featuring ethanol-free fuel. Located across from Rivermont Elementary on Hickson Pike. Rivermont, Chattanooga. Rivermont Pure.
Rivermont Pure, that's where I've always gone to get my car serviced. My husband and I trust Charlie and Tommy. They always treat us right and give us a fair price. And they get the job done right the first time. Thank you, Rivermont Pure.
Call 485-3375. That's 485-3375.
Okay, you get your taxes done by a franchise, but you're just a number. Your preparer might have had a 9-week course, but he's a number 2. Are you creating prosperity for your customers and yourself? E.J. Pelton clears the thick underbrush of taxes, helps make your way straight. Don't let uncertainty dampen your local economy spirit. Look, come home. Let E.J. Pelton Tax Service handle your taxes. Eric Pelton is the Chattanooga and Saudi Daisy tax specialist with 37 years under his belt. Eric Pelton also does bookkeeping and accounting to help you reach your entrepreneurial and financial goals. Confidential advice, consulting, and other services. Yours for the asking. EJPelton.com. That's EJPelton.com. Call 332-3339. That's 332-3339. Think ahead.
All systems go.
Got a printing project on deadline? Advantage Printing in Brainerd offers the highest quality one-stop service in Chattanooga. Graphic design, printing, addressing. Don't create a mailer unless you first check with Alan about the latest postal hassle. He'll handle the whole thing for you. Advantage Printing. Your advantage is in our name. 4031 Brainerd Road next to the Bilo. Print digital or offset, wide format, engineering drawings, start to finish. Advantage Printing. Check the details with Alan. 629-1800. That's 629-1800.
All systems go.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-8755. 815-5621.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News. I'm Harley Carnes. No smoking gun, no proof, but the NFL says it sure looks like someone at the New England Patriots slightly deflated most of the game balls in the AFC Championship game. We're live now with the report, CBS's Steve Futterman.
And Harley, the report does not say absolutely positively that the Patriots and Tom Brady knew what was going on, but it does say it's more likely than not that some team personnel and Brady were aware. In the past, there have been denials from the Patriots. Coach Bill Belichick.
I was shocked to learn of the news reports about the footballs.
And Tom Brady.
I've always played within the rules. I would never do anything to break the rules.
The report includes text messages which imply that Brady was aware of efforts to lower pressure in the footballs. The league says it will determine if there will be any disciplinary action. Reporting live, Steve Futterman, CBS News.
As the Maryland governor fully lifted the state of emergency in Baltimore, the mayor, Stephanie Rawlings Blake, invited the Justice Department to investigate her police department, saying it was important to get to the bottom of whatever.
Such an investigation is essential if we are going to build on the foundation of reforms that we have instituted over the past few years.
Earlier in the day that a Germanwings co-pilot took the jet and 150 people into the side of a Swiss mountain, investigators say he practiced resetting the autopilot to do that. CBS's Charlie D'Agata on the foreign desk in London.
Cockpit data shows that he put the plane into a descent mode 4 or 5 times. Investigators say it's because the aircraft was already in a descent when he put it into the setting of 100 feet that it wasn't noticed.
When a smartphone becomes a microscope, could save lives anywhere in the world.
A mobile phone microscope has been developed to help healthcare workers accurately detect the presence of disease-causing parasites in a single drop of blood. With little training, says Dr. Thomas Nuttman of the National Institutes of Health.
Its use in very remote areas is important. It works largely on batteries that can be recharged.
Patients can rapidly learn their risk and quick treatment decisions can be made, he says, in the journal Science Translational Medicine. Barry Bagnetto, CBS News, Washington.
On Wall Street, the Dow down 144 points. The Nasdaq's off about 36 so far today. Former House Speaker Jim Wright has died. He was a hugely popular Texas congressman for 34 years in Fort Worth, but he was drummed out of the speakership after just 2 years, says political analyst Professor Larry Sabato.
Jim Wright's resignation was earth-shattering for Congress because he was the first speaker ever to be forced to resign on account of scandal.
Jim Wright was 92. It was supposed to be a stunt for YouTube in Maywood, New Jersey. The man was trying to light his birthday cake on fire. Sugar does burn, after all. But so does the gasoline and the lighter fluid he included in the mix. And the fire department got there in time to help him put out the flames in his kitchen. This is CBS News.
Our experts know tires, enough to expertly install more than 3.5 million last year. That level of service will give you more confidence than ever before, even enough to hand feed a juicy steak to a lion. Now get a $120 mail-in rebate on select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Ford Service, go with confidence.
Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 6/30/15.
At DeVry University's Keller Graduate School of Management, we're looking for the driven, those determined to stand on their own merits, but never stand still. If you're this kind of student, you're our kind of different. Keller Graduate School of Management, different on purpose. Learn about merit-based scholarships for new students who apply and qualify at keller.edu.
Subject to approval and availability of funds for students starting in July 2015. DeVry University is authorized for operation by the THEC, certified to operate by SCHEV. In New York, DeVry University operates as DeVry College of New York.
There is a new national report on campus sexual assaults.
The number of college campus sex offenses reported to the Education Department nearly doubled over a 5-year period. In 2009, there were 3,300. In 2013, nearly 6,100, according to a report released by 3 U.S. senators.
We're encouraged by these numbers.
Scott Berkowitz founded the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network.
Most likely it means that more victims are willing to step forward and report what happened.
And he says reporting those who abuse is key to getting rapists off the streets. Heather Bosch, CBS News.
The Prime Minister of Cambodia is welching on his bet. Hun Sen is refusing to pay up on his losing $5,000 bet on the Manny Pacquiao-Floyd Mayweather fight. Sen says he thinks Pacquiao won the fight, even if he did go into the fight injured and was outpointed in both punches thrown and punches landed. Harley Carnes, CBS News.
Advance Auto Parts knows what makes a car guy a car guy. It's the courage to take on the greasiest of jobs, the guts to stare down the belly of the beast and replace a radiator. It's fearlessness, and it has no patience for dead batteries. That's why Advance Auto Parts offers free battery testing. And if you buy a new Autocraft battery, we'll even install it for free, so you can get back to your next big project. Advance Auto Parts, for guys who love getting under the hood.
Most vehicles in this location. See store for details.
Hey, here's your delivery from Staples.com. Thanks.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
Local economy is about cash. It's about paying what you need to pay and not having a long train of notes and papers that trail after your transaction, as might the flagellum at the end of a sperm, right? That's the picture I have of a credit card transaction. Cash is king, especially in down times. We faced very difficult times ahead in the national economy. And that's because the national economy has an overburden of debt, which will not be paid off and which is making the national system dysfunctional. So what are the answers to big business, big credit, big debt, and big government? Well, it's local economy. That is our argument here at Nooganomics.com. And that is you, my listener, you, the little guy starting your own business. Better that there be 1,000 men like you starting a small operation in the spare bedroom of your house than that a big German car parts manufacturer buys land at Enterprise South and hires 1,000 people. Better 1,000 owners than 1,000 employees who receive no profit. They receive wages, but wages, as we point out to you, are not profit. Profit is the thing that's left on the table after all the expenses are paid. And who receives the profit? Well, the owner does. And so the idea of cash is important because cash is local economy. It's intimate, it's personal, and in general terms, not legal terms, but in general terms, cash extinguishes a debt. Cash pays what's owed. There's a cash business you need to know about here in Chattanooga. It's called Quick Surge, and it's run in the Publix shopping center in North Shore by a physician, a surgeon named David Redd, and he is venturing out into the cash economy in the medical field. He's bypassing insurance, he's bypassing big government, and he's wanting to deal with individual patients one by one who just walk in, fill out a very brief form, and have quick surgery, something on your exterior. No, you're not anesthetized in his practice. You're given a local anesthesia if it's required, and you have your blot or your blight or your tag removed, or your laceration stitched up. You can have that done with David Redd as well. And it's a cash business. I want you to consider going there if you have any urgent need. The prices are published at quicksurge.com. That's QUIKSURG, quicksurge.com. And it's relief. Have a relationship with your doctor. Don't have an intervening party. Tell him what to do and tell him how to take care of you. Let that be between you, the patient, and Dr. Redd. He believes that the healing arts are not just material. They are, in fact, there's a spiritual element with every illness, every injury, every condition. The whole man is involved. The cash economy is also getting a boost here in the local economy by the Bob Association. We could call it Bob Association for short, but it's the benefits association that is run by John Ballinger. John, welcome to Nooganomics.com.
Thanks, David.
What is the Bob Association? What does BOBA mean?
Well, the foundation for BOBA is to aggregate small business owners nationwide and leverage them against one another to help support one another and create more profit to their bottom line through that aggregation, kind of the Walmart mentality.
So Business Owners Benefits Association is what BOBA means, and the video on your website refers to Bob Association, but BOBA should tell my small business listener what is it that what kind of services are you aggregating on behalf of small entrepreneurs such as Dr. David Redd and maybe our listener?
Right. Well, what we're providing is what they've asked, what they have the most difficulty leveraging and controlling. That's all of their insurance costs, health benefits of all varieties, fuel consumption, credit card processing fees. They feel like the credit card industry just beats them up for percentages every day, and payroll services, HR services, just so what I call the administrative nightmare that it takes to run a small business that most businesses owners do not go into business for, and bleeds them dry. We aggregate those services and then control them with leverage.
Now, this is an association, not just another business that's providing intermediary services. Explain why it is that that BOBA is an association. What does that tell the listener or the prospective business customer of your work?
Well, I think there's 1.9 million associations in America, and most of the time when someone joins an association, they do for benefits. They want something out of it. That's why they're joining. And so as I started looking in the marketplace for why someone joined an association, I would ask, well, what benefit do you get from it? And I said, well, we really don't get anything other than we get to mix and mingle and hand out cards and things. And I said, yeah, but what about that organization in America that represents all small business owners? And then as you join, you actually can enjoy the leverage of one another. And so that didn't exist when we started going down this road in 2006. So we called the Treasury Department and asked the question, and they said, no one's registered to do that. And so I looked at AARP and AAA, two large, multi-million member associations, and started kind of fashioning our organization after those existing models.
All right, well, take AAA, the American Automobile Association is the former name, and now the letters don't mean anything, and they call themselves just AAA. What is the benefit of being a member of AAA?
Well,
John Ballinger,
they come and tow your car if it breaks down. They come and unlock it if you lock the keys out of it or put gas in it, and that's their benefit. It's kind of a fear mentality. If you break down, we'll be there. And so when they send you that invoice every year, you pay it just in the event that something happens, and that's their benefit.
So for small business, there's no organization that you saw at the time, John Ballinger, that aggregated these services for his benefit. So the Business Owners Benefits Association is what kind of 501c? It's a
501c6 and basically it's membership based. If you look at the IRS tax code, it allows us to aggregate members under a single umbrella and for us to deliver goods and services back to them.
Well, let's just take, for example, David Redd, the surgeon at Quick Surge down on the North Shore. He's a very small business. I think his wife, Candy, works in the office, and there's a nurse. So they're very, very small. Let's say in a couple of years he has so much business because he advertises here on our radio station and has a great service, that he has 7 employees and has rented another room down there in that shopping center. What would you say to him? Okay, David Redd, here's what I would offer you. Here's how much you would pay. He doesn't need gasoline. He doesn't need gas. There are certain things that he wouldn't need. But how does he assess his benefits?
We bring what we call an executive director in, David, and do a business evaluation of all the services we provide. And like you said, there's going to be some that are not needed by every business owner. But once that evaluation is completed, we take the services that we have pre-negotiated and work with service providers on, and put that evaluation together and bring it back to them and say, all right, here's where you're at by being a member of our association. Here's where you could be at. And they can actually see the difference in what he's paying right now. So this is current dollars in the marketplace. And what we're doing is just shifting those dollars to our organization for leverage.
So you're paid by two parties. Your BOBA is paid by two parties. It's paid by the clients, such as my listener, but it's also paid by the people who provide the services, who want the business. They want you to give them the payroll services or the credit card company. They want you to give them the business. So you're paid from two sides.
That's correct.
So you're a middleman. Well, okay. So give an example, John Ballinger. We're talking. This is David Toulis. We're talking with John Ballinger, the CEO here in Chattanooga of BOBA, the Business Owners Benefits Association.
One example: one of our executive directors just completed a full evaluation on a fitness company in Knoxville, Tennessee, and with the services that they needed provided to them, we put $20,000 saving to the bottom line for that company, and those were through payroll services, credit card processing services, and insurance services. Those are the three things that we put in place for that company. Locations in Knoxville and Nashville, and $20,000 was straight to the bottom line.
So that was part of the pitch that you made to the owner of this company. You went through he opened up his business to some extent to show you what he's paying, right? And so you looked at that and you said, okay, well, we understand that you've got that. We can provide you with these three lines. And the total, when you added the three lines up and had your little plus on, the total was $20,000 less per year.
That's correct. And for him to pay $195 a year membership to save $20,000 was a good ROI in his mind.
So Dr. Red here in Chattanooga, that's what he would pay if he were a member of
$195 a year. That is refundable if we do not save you at least that much money to your business bottom line.
Well, tell me, John Ballinger, how you came to this idea. What line of work were you in previous to the founding of BOBA? You have 7 people working for you, and you have about another 45 people who work with you through your affiliates. You began the association in 2013. That's 2 years ago. What were you doing before, and what was happening in your life and in your work in business that brought this concept to you?
My previous corporate experience had been with Winn-Dixie Food Stores, large national grocery chain at the time. And Sam Walton actually sat on the board for a few years. And any of your listeners know Sam Walton. He was the founder of Walmart. And I remember Sam Walton talking about creating leverage. And if you created leverage, you could basically do anything with that. You could dictate. And so that was back in the late 80s, early 90s. I was in the military, spent 20 plus years in aviation. And so complicated things actually energized my brain, and was hired from Winn-Dixie by a company called McKee Foods, and was at McKee Foods for about 10 years. But was really going through a retirement process with the military and trying to figure out what I was going to do. What am I going to do for the next phase? And sitting at my desk at home, and it came to me, this is what you're going to do.
Now, is BOBA is the BOBA we're talking about here in Chattanooga? Is that the first one, or is it a franchise of some other idea elsewhere?
No, this is it. We are on the ground, the original organization. And if you try to go out and find someone that does what we do, registered, you're not. I mean, we're it.
Well, are there for-profit businesses that do what you do, John Ballinger?
I would say that there are there's similarities to some for-profit businesses that try to resell services to small business owners by a membership. That's not our business model, I should say. Our business model is we want 23 million small businesses that exist in America, which make up 98% of the businesses small businesses in America. That employees. So if you read the 2012 census, 106 million Americans work for a small business owner.
And am I getting you right here that 98% of people work in businesses or employed by businesses that have 100 people on the staff or less?
That's correct.
Or fewer.
And to go down to 50 is 94%. So if you take the 94% of the businesses in America are what I call manipulated by the 2% or 6%, depending on what size of business.
How are they manipulated? How does that work?
Well, in my mind, they're manipulated because of lack of knowledge. They do not have good representation against the 2% that are out there they're buying services from. So it's kind of it's a marketplace where you need to have this to do business. And in order to do that, you have to purchase it from one of these organizations, and you have no leverage or ability to negotiate the prices or rates that you're paying.
This is David Toulis. Our show is Nuganomics.com. We're talking with John Ballinger, who's the founder and chief executive officer of the Bob Association, or the Business Owners Benefits Association, which was started here in Chattanooga. Well, John, are there branches, if you will, in other Tennessee cities? Are there franchises elsewhere? What's ahead once you establish your business model as a nonprofit association here in Chattanooga?
We are franchising the model. I've tried to think, how do we get this out to America and the small businesses that 23 million that we've discussed. And so we're going to franchise the model through the nation. We have franchise locations in Chattanooga, Knoxville, and Nashville, and Atlanta. I failed to mention Atlanta when we talked earlier. And so we'll fine tune. Anyone that's been in the franchising business knows that's very difficult to establish and get up off the ground. But once that it's streamlined, we'll be able to take that out throughout the United States, which is our hope is to have 500 locations nationwide, selling our services to the small business owners from corner to corner.
Well, how is it that a business owner who hears your argument for the aggregation of services, how is it that he views the fact that you're a nonprofit association versus just another middleman? Because America is full of middlemen. We hear about middlemen who take a lot of the value from farmers. For example, a bunch of strawberries costs the man who grows the strawberries gets $1 of it, but they're charged $5 in the store. So the middleman gets that difference. We have an economy full of middlemen. How is it that you're not like that? How is it that you're not another middleman just skimming off of the productive worth of the economy?
Well, one of the reasons is we established as a nonprofit. A lot of the organizations that you referred to earlier that kind of do something similar are for-profit organizations, and their interest is putting more dollars in their pocket than the savings of their clients. I personally feel like we have a moral responsibility to our clients to give them the best service and product and price that we can give them, while at the same time, we're a business and we have to pay salaries and benefits to our folks. And so there's a balance to what do we provide in services to our clients while also negotiating a piece of that goes to the organization to operate.
If you're a 501c6, there has to a nonprofit. That's nonprofit in the legal sense, but still, John Bellinger, to have success, to have greater service to the marketplace, you have to have that reach, right? So where does profit come in this model, and how do you know what's legitimate and what's charitable? How is it that you can say, no, we're not taking that because we're a charity, but on the other hand, you have to have money come in, you have to have some kind of profit to be able to pay the bills, to have that trip to Boise, Idaho for the franchise meeting. Those are all expenses. They're part of expansion. They're investments in the Business Owner Benefits Association. How does that work exactly?
We have 2 for-profit arms that we operate, as well as the nonprofit, and the agency that holds all the contracts with the service providers is a for-profit, and then the franchise company obviously is a for-profit. So we will. The model is very similar to AARP's original business model. The last time I looked at their website, they had 43 million members that purchased their membership or services from them. And so they have the for-profit arm as well as the nonprofit arm.
I want to mention to you that Affordable Computers here in Chattanooga is the place to go for you, my listener. If your machine is just slowing down, backing up, going the speed of molasses, Affordable is locally owned and locally operated. There are two branches of this company. One is on Highway 58 between the Arby's and Taco Bell, and the other is in Fort Oglethorpe on Battlefield Parkway near Holcomb's. So what you need to do, if you have a laptop that needs to be fixed or another, it will be done there. And the computer is not shipped out of town as it is in any big box store. The big boxes do not offer service, right? They have a window for taking a broken computer and the memo from you describing what's wrong, but it's not done here, and there's no local expert. The experts are at Affordable Computers. You can buy a used name brand laptop, as I have, such as I have a Dell here for $150. And all new computers at Affordable are made in-house with standardized parts. And what that means is it's a computer that can be repaired anywhere in the world. Many name brands are use unique parts that don't match and that are not upgradable and not easily repaired by others. Okay, so you want a standardization benefit, and that's there's money savings to you, my listener, if you buy a new computer on a higher end. The difference in the prices will be remarkable. On the low end machines below $500 or $600, the price is about the same. But if you have anything with heavy power, you will get an advantage at affordable. These are custom-made computers designed to fit what you're doing. Right? Just tell the tech what it is you do, and you'll get a cheaper computer. My name is David Toulis. We're talking with John Ballinger. John, in a nutshell, what does the Business Owners Benefits Association, or BOBA, what does it do for my listener if he is in a small business?
Well, it actually helps create bottom line profit dollars for him, because we're going to take services that he's currently paying for, and we're going to go in and do an evaluation. And at this point right now, we have 100% completion rate of reducing costs for every business that we've gone in. So I feel very comfortable today saying that you put us in your business and you're going to save money.
And that's because John Ballinger at BOBA buys in aggregate from services such as payroll, human resources, fuel aggregation, banking and credit card, and insurance. And you, my listener, if you are starting a business or you're boggled in your schedule by questions of these back end services that you have to deal with, here is a proposed way of getting around the time consuming and costly relationships that your small business has. John Ballinger, thank you for joining my listener and me here at Nuganomics.com.
Thanks, David. I appreciate it.
John Ballinger is the CEO of Business Owners Benefits Association, BOBA, that is expanding its starting here in Chattanooga and providing buying power for the small shop. My name is David Toulis. Our show is Nuganomics.com. We're members of Trade Bank of Chattanooga, and want you to think about taking advantage of the special at Delia's Authentic Mexican Restaurant.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. If you have the DT, the shakes, because your phone is on the fritz, you have nomophobia. You need help. Your telecom doctor is in. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall. Cell Surgeon yanks open the ribcage of your phone, pries out the dead heart, and puts in the beating life that you lead on your cell phone. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out? Cell Surgeon in Northgate Mall next Old Chicago Pizza. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life. We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
You do not have to be living with constant pain. You need to make the choice today to enjoy a revitalized body. You deserve to live a better pain-free life. And Dr. Ross can help. At Ross Chiropractic, failure is not an option. For over 40 years, Dr. Ross, a graduate of the prestigious Palmer College of Chiropractic, prided himself in helping and healing. The Ross method of chiropractic care is unique in developing a treatment designed just for you. And Ross Chiropractic makes this promise to you. If he believes that he can help relieve your pain, he will guide you to another health practitioner to assist you. Feel better now. You owe it to yourself. You really do. Call Dr. Ross now at 954-9591. That's 954-9591. And visit Dr. Ross at 7405 Shaliford Road, Suite 320. Ross Chiropractic, helping your body heal itself. Because when your spine's in line, you will feel fine. Call 954-9591. That's 954-9591 for Ross Chiropractic.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. The state of emergency that started in Baltimore a week ago has been lifted. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan on the damage from protest over the death of a black man in police custody.
Approximately 250 businesses, the majority of which are minority owned, were either destroyed, burned, or looted.
Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake has asked for a federal probe into city police practices. A new report says Andreas Lubitz, who crashed a plane in the Alps in March, had a dress rehearsal.
The doomed flight from Spain to Germany was actually his second of the day. He'd just flown the same route in reverse. And on that first flight, investigators say he entered the same descent settings on 5 occasions, only to cancel the move seconds later each time.
Fox Radio's Simon Owen. The NFL has found that the New England Patriots probably did deliberately deflate footballs on the AFC title game, and the quarterback Tom Brady was generally aware of it. Fox News, we report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
John Whitehead, writing at ronpaulinstitute.org, is bemoaning our expenses, the expenses of the American people in many cities across the country, to payments to the victims of modern policing tactics, including the 21-foot rule and the belligerent stance that officers have with members of the public whom they call civilians. Why do police departments, why do even probably people such as Fred Fletcher, our chief of police in Chattanooga, call people like you a civilian? Well, the implication is that you're a civilian because they, in fact, are military. If peace officers are that, then there's no distinction. They are civilians with a special duty to enforce laws and to maintain the peace. But we don't have simply peace officers today. We have law enforcers, and they're very busy people. And the complainant in almost every case in criminal court is rarely is it ever an individual. It's always the state. The state is constantly offended. It is constantly offended over paper crimes, over crimes which are not sins, over crimes which are simply crimes by declaration, right? Those are called male in se is an evil in itself, and other sins or other crimes are male prohibitas. They're evils by prohibition, right? They're evils because someone has said in a legislative vote that it's an evil. In Chicago, taxpayers were asked to pay out $33 million on one day alone to victims of police misconduct, he says, with one person slated to receive $22 million, potentially the largest single amount settled on any one victim. The city has paid out more than $500 million to victims over the course of a decade. And the city council in Chicago, President Obama's hometown, had to borrow $100 million just to pay off lawsuits arising from police misconduct. The city's payout for 2014, the last year, was estimated to be in the same ballpark, especially with cases pending, such as the one involving the man who was reportedly sodomized by a police officer's weapon to force him to cooperate. In Denver, 78% of the funds paid out by taxpayers over the course of a decade arose as a result of alleged abuse or excessive use of force by the Denver Police Department. In Missouri and Ferguson, there's a penalty more than the city's budget for police officers treating them, quote, as if they were war combatants, using tactics such as beatings, rubber bullets, pepper spray, and stun grenades, while the plaintiffs were peacefully protesting, sitting in McDonald's, and in one case, walking down the street to visit relatives. Well, local economy is all about the opposite of these things. It's about laws being enforced if there are worthy laws being enforced, and respectful use of verbal persuasion, the projectile of the word of the conversation being, I would say, efficacious and beneficial. In England, very few officers have weapons, and it's nice to meet with someone and have an argument over whether you ran a traffic light or not who has no weapon, right? There's something of moral suasion that exists in a relationship where the man who stops you for an offense has no means of putting a bullet into your back. And that is how things work in England. England, of course, which is the beginning of modern police departments back in probably the 17 or the 1840s or 50s. We're talking with John Ballinger, who is a man who has local economy solutions that are not just the avoidance of a negative, as we are referring to police officers, but the imposition, if you will, the invitation to a positive. John Ballinger of Chattanooga is the CEO of Business Owners Benefits Association, and we've been asking how it is he can help small businesses, which are our bread and butter here at Hot News Talk Radio. My name is David Toulis, and I'm the owner here at Hot News Talk Radio. Our show is Nuganomics.com, and we are the number 3 show. The number 1 show is that of Russell the Kid. That's Digital Drive, and I'm sweating. My bow tie is crinkled with the exertion trying to get into number 2, but I just can't make it. Number 2 is held, I think, by Sean Hannity. And you may enjoy listening to Sean Hannity or Don Imus in the morning, the scrappy old guy with a lively young staff, whose members are always interrupting each other, and Laura Ingram defending American exceptionalism every morning here at Hot News Talk Radio, the best station here in Chattanooga. John Ballinger is trying to use the power of mass buying to help small businesses. John, welcome to Nuganomics.com.
Thanks, David.
What is it that BOBA is doing for my listener and people like him?
We're creating the philosophy of big purchase, big box store buying power for small businesses on services that they do not have control over themselves. So businesses do not have control over health insurance cost, over workers' comp cost, over fuel cost, payroll, credit card processing. So by aggregating and leveraging, and most people know if I go buy a 24-pack of anything at Sam's, it's going to be cheaper than if I go to buy 24 singles at another location. So we're bulk buying. That's what we do.
And I'm surprised that this is a new thing. How is it that this idea has not been practiced as you're doing it before? What are you doing that's new?
I think having perseverance and a word that I call stick-to-itiveness. This has been started in 2006. It's been very difficult to build a national platform for small businesses because I feel like that me personally, I feel like that big corporations and the Fortune 500s do not want an organization like ours to exist because it actually could take money out of their back pocket.
Well, you mentioned 2006. What happened in 2013? There was I understood that your company kind of had some big step 2 years ago. How long has it been in gestation, John Ballinger?
Well, the 2006 was the starting process of why isn't this built in America, and then going through the process of building it till the IRS recognized it as a 501c corporation in July of 2013. So that was a big day for us.
John Ballinger is married. He lives in Chattanooga. He and his wife Julia have 3 children. One is 25 years old. That's Daniel. Jonathan is 19, and then he has in his family an experience much like I had in mine. He has Zoe, age 4. He's 49 years old, and he's the CEO of BOBA. Well, John, now yours is a nonprofit association. You're effectively a charity. There's a charitable impulse in what you're doing, and yet it's also kind of hard driving business. Explain how those two elements work together.
Well, if you understand business in America, most corporations belong to an association. So the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, you'll have associations that the oil industry belongs to, that the banking industry belongs to, And they do that so that they can share information, they can share data, they can work together collectively. And so we knew if we were going to go against the big corporations in America, we need to have our own association. And in some industries in America that we are aggregating, they will not work with you unless you're an association. They want to know what your membership base is. And so there's some actual legal precedents for building an association, and you have to have it on the shelf tempering for 2 years before you can actually provide benefits to your members. And so there's regulations in place that you've got to jump through.
We're talking about the IRS. There are many other 3-lettered agencies on the part of the national power. Are those other agencies, or including the IRS, are they somehow bad news for small business? And if so, is there something that BOBA is doing as against them?
I can't say that. Someone told me not too long ago that John, what you're trying to do is bring people along beside you instead of trying to drag them, and going against, so to speak, the alphabet soup that small business owners feel like are in their back pocket. Is I wouldn't say what we're trying to do is say this information is coming down to small business. We want to provide that information to them, and we want to be a voice and a platform to actually talk to that EPA or the DOL and let them know how this could be hindering small businesses, because I feel like a lot of laws and rules and regulations are passed without care about how it's going to impact a small business owner.
Well, are you suggesting that there might be a way of bringing legal services or tax advisors, groups like that, together to help groups of small businesses in Chattanooga and elsewhere?
Absolutely. What we ask small businesses through a survey is, what are the most difficult items that you deal with every day? And they started out with fuel cost, banking services, and insurance and benefits. And so you had to start tackling the difficult ones that they need first. But as we do that, then they start talking about cell and data services and legal services and accounting services. So as we grow as an organization, we will grow vertically and horizontally with our services.
Right now, BOBA has 7 people on its staff, including you, the CEO, and there are about 45 people who are not employed by the Business Owner Benefits Association, but are connected to it by affiliates. And who are those people? Why are there 45 affiliates? What are they doing to help your membership?
They are representatives of the service provider companies that we use to be able to negotiate the goods and services for our clients. And so I call them account reps, if you will. So our clients can call and someone answers the phone and helps them with the whether it's a customer service issue or buying of service. That organization establishes that for our organization.
We had here in Chattanooga a few days ago a military parade with all the glory and huzzah and honors and the federal flag flying. There are millions of veterans. Are veterans people in business whom, as a category, you think you can help, John Ballinger?
Well, not only do I think we can help, our company was just a portion of our company was just acquired by a veteran in Maryville, Tennessee. He's a former Marine that has a multi-entity organization who I came into his company and helped him through this process. And he saw the value of it, and we closed on that purchase May the 1st, to where he is actually a co-owner partner in this organization. And our first marketplace from a national standpoint is going to be the 6.2 million small businesses that are either 100% veteran owned or 50% veteran owned. And those are individuals, male and female, that understand selfless service, understand commitment to the nation, and we want to help them. And byproducts of helping them will help other small businesses.
So you're identifying veteran-owned businesses as likely to have certain kind of character traits among the owners as individuals. Do veteran businesses have any particular problems that other businesses don't have, John Ballinger?
No. They've got the exact same problems that every small business has. What I found, David, is that most small businesses that go into business are A-type personality, that I can do this, I don't need any help doing it. And when I go in and show them how we can help, they kind of let the guard down and say, okay, because they're so suspect of anybody coming into their company trying to say that I can help you, that they get numb to it, and they just stop asking anybody help them because somebody's trying to take advantage of them. the small business owner that's a veteran is going to be more receptive to the challenge of stepping up and stepping out and helping us aggregate.
What about churches or organizations that are not, they're not businesses, they're charities? Are they somehow in view in your efforts at the Business Owners Benefits Association? Can you help them as well, John Ballinger?
We can. We actually established a sister organization called Community Benefits Advisors, that its model is to aggregate churches, nonprofits, and private Christian schools under its umbrella, because in reality, they're a small business themselves and they have the same need as the business out in the street. And we are aggregating them to reduce and lower their costs so that tithe money that's coming in gets spent more economically.
What are let's say Christian schools' primary pain point that you're working on?
Benefits right now.
What do you mean by that?
The health insurance, the ACA law that was passed has created a ripple effect throughout the industry. And if you're a private school, they've got tuition dollars, and that tuition dollar has to keep continuing to rise to cover the cost of health insurance. And if you're a church, tithe money gets spent to health insurance companies. So health insurance right now in America for the nonprofits and small businesses, or excuse me, churches, and that's a pain point. And we're partnering. We're in the. I would love to be able to share it with you in the very near future. But being able to create our own co-ops for small businesses and churches, which is actually in the Affordable Care Act, it talks about co-ops.
Well, the Affordable Care Act also talks about Christian cost-sharing organizations or ministries such as Samaritan Ministries, of which I'm a member. In fact, we had a chat not long ago with the field director. And in Samaritan Ministries, the members they have to meet certain personal requirements to be a member or to have their families as members. They send a check every month of, in my case, it's $405 to another Christian family to pay for that family's medical needs that month. And every month I get a letter saying, here's the family for you this month, and here's the situation. Please send your check. And of course we're encouraged to send a note of Christian encouragement to those people in that other state. And that's an association where there's no legal claim. It's not insurance. It is cost sharing, following the biblical model. Are you suggesting something like that in the way of a co-op? What are you thinking about, John Ballinger?
The co-op would be a little bit different than that, David, because the cost sharing has some underwriting to it. So you have to qualify. You have to fill an application, and so
it's insurance.
Yeah,
it's a contractual arrangement.
It is, and it's because we do not want to neglect anyone that comes to us from a business owner's perspective and not be able to provide services to them from a benefit standpoint.
What about legal services?
On the horizon. Well, that's an hour conversation. We talk about.
Well, how would legal services work? I know there's Legal Shield here in Chattanooga. I've talked with a couple of the reps for that, and you buy an insurance policy for legal services. How would you have the small business listener take advantage of legal services bought in bulk? I mean, how would that work?
It would be exactly like the gentleman that started prepaid legal was Mr. Stonecipher. I think back in the 70s when he started that, he was onto something. And so we are actually working with them to create that platform for our clients.
And that would be contract advice, litigation advice. If there was a lawsuit, if my listener was involved in a lawsuit, a business dispute of some kind, the legal services would be paid for in advance because he was a member, right?
That's correct.
The Business Owners Benefits Association membership. If he buys that particular chunk of your nonprofit association's work, he would have kind of security in legal opinions, legal services, with probably a local attorney, right? Would there be a local law practice that would be the dispenser of services, John?
Well, in Nashville, there's the main law firm that deals with all of the Legal Shield, and then if it's something that needs to be litigated locally, then they can reach out from that organization to a local attorney.
Is it your view that local economy is really where my listener needs to be focusing his attention as opposed to the national economy? What's the difference between local and national, John?
Local is that 98% of American businesses that we talk about, and national is that 2%. And so when like I said, 23.5 million small businesses, or excuse me, businesses in America, and 98% of those are small businesses. That's the you and me that are out here every day working to provide jobs and grow the economy locally. And, that's not something that big corporation is interested in.
So my analysis of the future of the American economy is quite bleak on account of the overburden of debt, and we're kind of at peak government, if you will. Is it your view that your service will be able to adjust as the national economy decentralizes if that happens, or is your work only because we have big players and we need to all be big players somehow?
No. Quite to the opposite of that, and the marketing company that I'm working with doesn't like this analogy, but the scales of justice, where the scale is completely out of balance, I just want to use our organization to bring balance back, because right now our country is so out of balance, morally, ethically, spiritually, financially, that organization, the small businesses, which for the most part are conservative Christian men and women, need to band together and say we're smarter than this.
And it is your hope that these people in their small businesses will band together through the the Business Owners Benefits Association, or BOBA. Have you started your business with a lot of debt, or did you have existing capital? What is the financial startup structure?
My wife and I have paid for this to this point out of our back pockets. We've had some franchise dollars go into it, but other than that, it's been fully funded out of our back pockets. And I just saw a need to really launch this nationwide, which is why I brought Eric Barton is the gentleman's name, the former Marine up in Maryville. Eric saw the value in this, and as a former veteran himself, said, you know what, we need to do this, and let's make it happen.
My listener has a hang up, and it's one that I confess to sharing to some extent, and that is he's invested in national economy just like I was. And I think in some extent I'm invested less financially in the national economy than I was 3 or 4 years ago, now that I'm an entrepreneur and the owner of a small business here in Chattanooga. But the transition that I've been encouraging him to make is to divest national and invest local. And that means investing in his own business, investing, maybe buying a franchise, or becoming a shareholder in someone else's business, someone who is profitable, who's honorable, because in the end, capitalism and capital are based on character. And if my listener wants to prosper, he needs to think, oh, I've got good character. I work hard. I have Christian virtues, or I'm an actual Christian. And therefore there's a good prospect of me investing in myself. Talk a little bit about whether my listener should invest in himself, or if he should maintain his portfolio with Vanguard mutual funds and on the stock market.
It's a point that we've not talked about, but I'm glad you're bringing it up, because one of the things that attracted me to Eric Barton's suite of companies that he owns is the ability for a platform that he's invested in for small businesses to actually invest in each other. Where right now, if you want to invest in Vanguard or one of these Black Rocks, you've got to go to the New York Stock Exchange, which actually dictates the financial world in America. And Venture 360, small businesses are going to be able to look at other small businesses and say, I like what you're doing, and actually invest in that business just like you're a shareholder in one of these big Vanguards.
Well, my name is David Toulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com. I'm a small investor. I'm in the $10,000 to $50,000 range type of investor. And right now I'm investing in my own business, and I haven't been paid in a while, but that's life. And I have a lovely wife who's working part-time to bring some cash into the house. Investing in myself is not a vanity. It's not something that I'm pursuing vainly. I do have a hope of profit, and I'm doing that because I want my listener, my customers. You're my customer. I want you to prosper and you to succeed. But there are other stakeholders, and that would be the advertiser and the investor. And so what we have to do is we have to find a way of reducing our costs, of having ways of confronting large mass systems, often government. So, John Ballinger, anything else you wanted to mention about your benefits association and how you could help my listener?
Just, David, that this is something that we like to say has been a long time in the making. Business owners, I think, are at a point where they are bleeding financially, and we want to we want to be the ones to rescue them. We want to stop the bleeding.
John Bellinger, thanks for joining my listener and me here at Nuganomics.com.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
John Bellinger is the CEO of Business Owners Benefits Association, BOBA, based here in Chattanooga. It's a nonprofit organization which is seeking to unite small businesses together, and through this organization, these small shops buy in bulk, whether it's HR services or payroll services or shipping or gasoline, or perhaps insurance. The name is David Toulis. I want to mention Quick Surge, the little practice of Dr. David Redd, recently opened on the North Shore. It's in the public shopping center. Quick Surge, QUIKSURG. David Redd. You go in there, you walk in, have surgery, and walk out again. The place worked on being a little numb, of course, as you're done, but it's a cash business. He is part of the future of the medical service industry, the medical service providers. That industry has sold its soul to insurance and to government, and David Redd is buying it back. He's buying it back with fixed low prices. Go to Quick Surge online to find out about how you can prosper. My name is David Toulis, and we've been talking with John Bellinger.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. Coverage continues Sunday here at Live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
NASCAR being brought to you by River City Auto Exchange, 5503 Highway 153 in Hickson.
Check it out this Sunday live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
When my brother and I opened our first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made